I'm so excited to tell you about our partner, Isomers Skincare Laboratories. You guys, rooted in science and integrity, in the best ingredients and best delivery systems. Unlike any other skincare on the market, for over 30 years, they've been giving you the real science. So this isn't trend. This isn't the hot, ingredient of the day on TikTok. This is 30 years of solving your skincare problems. So we're partnering with them today. Happy 20. HAPPY20 gets you 20% off your order. You have free shipping and handling at $100 or more, and they have a solution for every problem. Mature, aging skin, they've got you covered. Sinking, sagging skin, they've got you covered. You can take a really easy test on isomers.ca, and it will tell you, it will recommend exactly what you need for your skincare needs. Or you can go in there and find some of their icons, like the Copper P serum. They've got an amazing pure hyaluronic acid, nothing but hyaluronic acid. Their Fast Lift Eye Serum is an industry icon. That's all available at their website. You go to isomers.ca. You use the code HAPPY20. Please use that so they know that we sent you. You get 20% off your order. You'll get free shipping and handling at $100 or more. And if you don't know where to start, take that quiz. It will tell you exactly what to do. Happy 20 at isomers.ca.
So happy you're here.
So happy you're here.
So happy to be here.
Hey, everybody. It's Erin and Becky, obviously. So happy you're here. We've been doing this podcast now almost 20 episodes, I think. Sheesh.
Just like a big grown-up
Where'd
podcast.
that time go? And it is about time to bring in one of your faves, Miss Sarah Skillrud. Hi, gorgeous.
Star of stage and screen.
Ladies. And of my own mind.
Yes.
What a star. So if you are somebody who knows us from watching our Saturday morning fashion show on the network that I recently left, you know that Sarah worked with us for many, many years. She's still there every once in a while as well. If you haven't met her, though, you're going to absolutely love her. Thanks for stopping by.
You guys, I can't believe we're doing this. Thanks for having me.
We've dreamed it.
I've never been on a podcast.
Really? Is this your first
my
one?
first.
Well, we're going to set the bar real low for you.
Because
it's
I'm
real
prepared
low.
for anything.
It's Erin's mom. It's my mom.
Yeah.
We've got ones and ones of listeners. You know what's funny though?
Hi.
This is not true. Actually, when we found out that Sarah was going to join us, the comments went through the roof. We did a little test the other day on Facebook Live, and the girls went crazy.
Yeah, so thank you for making time for us. If we haven't met you before, So Happy You're Here is an extension of a fashion show we used to have on Saturday mornings, and it's really just a time to get together. Like, when you get on the phone with your girlfriend and you're not quite sure what you did or didn't talk about, but when you get off, you feel way better.
Amen.
That's what So Happy You're Here is all about. If nobody's told you today, you look amazing. Your buns look great. Your hair looks great. And as Becky would say, you have a great personality.
You're so fun to be around too. I love
Don't
you.
ever describe me as nice.
Well,
Like, I want my friends to say more about me than she was nice.
I
Sarah,
would describe you as spicy.
I'll take it.
Oh, spicy
How
truth
would you
teller.
describe Sarah?
Yeah, spicy truth teller. I was trying to hem and haw about a little story this morning, and Sarah just went laser focus, like cut the crap.
I was like, you are being way too kind.
Yes.
Let's just break this down.
Well, that's what I think we loved about working with you so much, because you always had such a strong point of view. There was no wishy-washy. It was, this is how you're going to wear it. This is how you're going to style it. This is how you're going to like it.
Yes.
And I liked that about
That was
you.
my goal. It was like, I'm the girlfriend in the dressing room with you saying yes. No. My sister did it to me. We were shopping for you know how when you're getting married, you have all the other events too. And that's kind of what we did. We had the night before and the brunch at my parents' house afterwards. And my sister and I think it was still Marshall Fields. So our big department store here went from Dayton's to Marshall Fields, eventually to Macy's. I put something on and my sister goes, "You're giving me hives. Take it off."
And that's a good sister. That's a good sister.
So I always tried to be like the good sister in the dressing room, just being like, this is going to work or no, it's not.
But I will tell
something
you.
works for everybody and not everything works for everybody. That's the point, right?
Exactly.
It's like figure out what works for you.
And we're going to foreshadow a little bit to how that has worked through our fashion life at the network, but also what you're doing right now. So stay tuned.
Okay, so if you haven't met Sarah, we got to work together. She was a fashion expert at our network for a long time, now became one of our really good friends, whether she likes it or not. And when we decided we were able to start having guests, and she was naturally a first choice. So thanks for being here. So how did you arrive in home shopping?
Oh gosh. Wow. What a great question. So I auditioned in September, I think it was September, October of 2016. So it was called Evine at the time, and they were doing Born to Host. But I didn't learn. I learned about Born to Host through a host that was on the network at the time. So I did.
You can say her name. It's okay.
Okay, great. Okay, Wendy Rousseau.
Yes.
We're manifesting Wendy for this podcast.
Absolutely.
Talk about a truth teller.
And talk about somebody who is so talented, knows the business. So I had met Wendy because I did this philanthropy. I was St. Paul Winter Carnival Queen in 2009. And when I was St. Paul Winter Carnival Queen, Wendy was Mrs. Minnesota. And so I had met her, and fast forward how many ever years later, my youngest was 4 and I hadn't worked for 7 years, which I felt really, really grateful for. But I was just kind of ready. I was ready to do something new. And I had a background in advertising sales, and I didn't necessarily want to go back to like cold call sales, but I knew I wanted to do something. So I called Wendy out of the blue. Like I was just like, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I know that you do a lot of coaching. And a lot of X, Y, and Z. And she said, well, why don't you audition for my network? And in my mind, I'm like, well, that'd be an absolutely dream come true. But are you kidding me? Like, I can't go be on your network. And she goes, I've seen worse.
Classic Wendy.
So she coached me. I showed up to the Mall of America that day. And here's really and we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, just about like, how you get into a network so big, and at the time, which was thriving. I called, I think it was Stoltz at the time.
Yes.
He was VP of Broadcasting.
Yes.
I called him every day on the 30-day mark. Just called and called and called and called.
Me again.
I called. And finally one day, the phone came back and they said, we want you to come in and do a second audition. So I had done like the big live thing at the Mall of America.
Can we talk about that just for 2 seconds?
Please.
And take a little detour.
2,000 people showed up.
Okay, so Sarah's kind of downplaying this because this was her entry into home shopping. But what Becky and I knew behind the scenes is this was a big deal.
Yeah,
so we're based in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which also right next door to Minneapolis is the Mall of America, which I think is still the second largest mall in the world or the North America. I think there's a bigger one now in Canada.
Toronto, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's this huge mall.
Huge.
And
there's like a roller coaster in the middle of it. I mean, it's huge.
Yes, there's a full amusement park. There's every store you could ever imagine. It's really big. You can go there in the morning with your walking shoes on and get a workout in if you'd like. But anyway, our network at the time had decided instead of doing the standard application to become a host, they were going to do a public audition at the Mall of America. They have a rotunda. It's a public space. There'll be concerts there. There's, big events there. They rented out the rotunda so anybody in the world could come and watch. And you are auditioning live on the stage, being recorded, being judges by our bosses. And at the time as well, what I don't even know if you were aware of, we had a lot of outstanding celebrity partnerships at that time.
Okay.
So right before Sarah auditioned, I hosted a live runway fashion show with the one and only Vanessa Williams.
Yes.
Amazing.
And the Beekman boys, Brent and Josh, were there in the height of their build. Yeah. I mean, they still have such a great business. Todd English was there with his cooking line. Holly Robinson Pete was there with her fashion collection. So not only is it brave to audition for this,
right,
but this one shows up and does it publicly. Thousands of people were there. People flew in from all over the world to audition.
Yeah. All over.
And then you have, Vanessa Williams and her makeup artist, Kate, who is a dream, who also happens to be J-Lo's makeup artist, just standing off in the wings, watching them do, watching them come up and do it. So hats off to you, girlfriend. I mean, it's not just brave calling somebody, but showing up and doing that takes guts.
I was the only one who ever ended up
moving forward
at Evine.
Wait, that's what we just talked about yesterday.
Yes.
I think I was.
You are.
When we were setting up reviewing for the show, Becky said, who else made it through? And I'm like, only Sarah. So in that entire public audition,
the one and only,
thousands of people, you are the only person who made it. But that's how cutthroat it was,
you
too.
Guys, I sat in my car and I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
And what was your audition? What did you do for your audition?
Cooking.
Baking.
So I knew a lot of people would come in and do fashion. So I was just trying to differentiate myself, right? Because I think that in the world of anything, you need to differentiate yourself. So I decided to do cooking. So I did mini like mini muffin trays.
I remember you standing in line with them.
Mac and cheese bites, and I had little mini muffins, and I like flipped them on air so that, you know, they were nonstick.
Yeah.
Because I truly thought, and at the time, the sizzle was still on.
Yes.
And so I knew that everybody, or not everybody, but most people would probably do some sort of fashion item. Mm-hmm. So I just really was trying to differentiate myself. And then fast forward to a second audition at the actual studio.
Who was your host? Do you remember?
I didn't have a host. I just was like, I
Really?
just like guested it for 5 minutes. Casey was my cameraman. I mean, people that I ended up working with.
Yeah.
I still stuck to the kitchen. So then I did a ninja bullet.
Yes.
And really like, you know, studied like the details and tried to do what a guest is supposed to do, which is like know the details, know, you know, kind
know
of
the product.
More the like nitty gritty piece of it all. And then again, I just kept following up. And then I finally got a call and they said a brand picked you up. And that was the handbag line. Yay. I did SCF New York
with Sharif.
That's right. So I went on
industry
air.
legend, by the way.
I flew to New York, met his team, and went on air May 24th, 2017.
The rest is history.
This lady, she was my very first host.
So was it Kate or what did you do? No, with SCF.
But so for those of you who follow home shopping, there is a collection by the man named Sharif that was like, I think the best-selling record-setting handbag collection in the home shopping industry.
Yes.
I mean, his bags ended up in museums.
Exactly.
So he ended up making an exclusive collection just for our network. And he chose, which is another big deal because he's been in this industry for a long time. He chose Sarah to debut it. And then we had your first show. I remember it.
I still have some of those bags.
They're very nice.
They were wonderful.
I still have one of his door knocker bags. I get compliments on it.
Oh, he used to sell in the Neiman Marcus holiday.
Right.
Remember that big catalog?
Oh, I love that
$10,000 exotics.
That catalog. Second to the Bible, guys.
I know, like
Second
actual
to the
Python.
Bible.
Do you want to go live in an igloo for the week? Great.
Yes, I do.
Hand over $100,000.
With my Sharif handbag in tow, for sure. Okay, so then you got picked up by a handbag collection. I remember you knocked it out of the park. I was so impressed. So this is what everybody needs to understand. And I am not just blowing steam up both of their backsides because they're here.
Okay, Gwyneth.
And I want to keep them healthy. So differentiating yourself is really hard. But the other thing that's hard is being your own person.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And I even felt when I started as a guest, the people I followed was Sarah Rogers and Allie Carr. Mm-hmm. You still see Allie Carr now on QVC. Sarah Rogers is still in Minneapolis doing a lot of fashion, but not on television.
Oh, I love her.
I know, I love her. I just ran into her too, and she's just the sweetest.
She's the best.
But when I was a new guest, when I was in Sarah's shoes, and they would say, okay, just study Allie and Sarah. Well, I did study them, but almost to a fault because they're both much calmer than me, if you guys have ever noticed. A lot more soft-spoken than me, if you've ever noticed. And so, like, I struggled with that too. When I was a new guest in the first few months, they'd be like, Erin, great, you're doing great, but do it in your way.
Yeah.
Don't do it as a parody of, or as a copy of Allie, or don't mimic Sarah.
Right.
Like, learn how they do it and then make it your
your
own.
voice.
Yeah.
And you came right out of the gates as your own person.
You gave me that advice.
And so did she. You two
both
did it really
gave
well.
me that advice though.
Well, I
So-
said don't be a character because you can't maintain it over the long haul. So if you come
That
in
was
as
your advice
someone,
to Sarah?
Yeah, because
Yes.
how could you ever do it 10 years later if you're like doing some crazy
like,
voice?
You just have
or
to be yourself. But
Yeah.
you told so fast forward to then they called me and said Jess is being promoted to host. We want you to audition for Kate and Mallory.
Let's go.
You gave me that advice while I was auditioning, and then once I actually got it, you reinforced it because you were such a mentor to me. Like from the guesting behind the scenes. I mean, we spent a lot of get ready time together, and we did a lot of like fashion shows together. And so it was like from the hosting perspective and then from the like, hey girl, this is our role. This is what we do. And when you walk into a group of women, certainly it's incredibly intimidating because you have the talent level that I was walking into, right? Like I'm the new girl on the block. I know what that feels like. It's like you're a freshman all over again.
Right.
These are the cool seniors. Like they know what's going on.
You're replacing a big talent.
I'm
Jess is
replacing a big talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really, really great to just have all of that lovely advice and have those people that were Kimberly Wells too. I mean, she would take me aside and just give me the greatest advice. It was only meant to build me up and only meant to make me better.
Always.
So I'm so grateful. And the times when I felt like people were trying to maybe not build me up and maybe trying to make me look like I was new or like I could, because that just happened. Like, let's just be honest. I remember
it's a cutthroat industry.
Wanting to cry one day, and I walked off set. It was a show where, maybe Becky presented and then I presented, and then I walked off after my cell, and I was like, you know what's going on? You've been here before.
Yeah.
So put your big girl pants on.
Yeah.
Because you landed this role and it's yours to keep.
Yes.
That's kind of how I felt, right?
Yes.
Just rise to the occasion.
So good.
And be yourself, right?
Oh,
yes.
Rise to the occasion as yourself.
And what was so cool about it, when Sarah joined, now you're Kate Mallory, so now you're in Wake Up in Style. So it's you, it's me, it's Maya.
Those were the glory days.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody had a point of view. Everybody looked different. So I looked like I was Oh So Casuals and sort of or One World at the time. You were Kate Mallory.
Strong point of view. Maya was amazing. Indigo.
But
everybody was fully embodied. And by the way, we've said this before. You did not sew Kate Mallory. I did not sew One World with my bare hands. Yeah. But there was something about embodying the brand to such a degree that people, I know some of you viewers are like, for real? Did you not? Because I thought you were making me those dresses.
Well, the buyer I got to have on Kate and Mallory, though, she did have a little bit of a collaborative approach, like what she was buying and when she was going to market. She would invite me back to her office and we'd chat fashion and we would chat and, she'd be like, okay, I'm going to present this maxi. And I'd be like, great, let's give the girl a short jacket with this. She'd be like, great. And she'd source that. I mean, there was a more collaborative approach back then.
Yes.
Well, and it was pretty
awesome.
awesome.
The scenes in the front of the house,
Because also people can be really good at this job and learn to love fashion, but you also came to it loving fashion first and foremost and then becoming really good at the job.
So when I auditioned in kitchen, because I do love to cook. Like that's another passion of mine.
Bragging now. Oh my gosh. Teach me.
Well, I was raised by, my grandmother was a farmer's wife. Like
it's amazing.
It was butter and lard and rolling out
the more butter, the better.
Bone broth. I mean, I learned all of that. Now everything that's trendy, like my grandma Rita was just doing.
The original trad wife.
And your mom was Mrs. Feldman.
Yes.
So anyone that's from the Twin Cities in the 80s.
Yeah. 80s and 90s. They did the cakes for Boundary Waters restaurants and Palomino. I could go on and on and on. Yes, my mom and her sister were Mrs. Feldman's. So, watched them launch a business when I was 7 years old. So that's another where my strong, go for it, have a personality or have a point of view.
Yes.
Definitely comes from the women I come from.
But you were saying when you auditioned as baking, but your fashion sense and
so Daniel, who was there at the time as well, he was another person in the broadcasting role at Evine at the time. He said, we have a lot of opportunities coming up, but not necessarily in kitchen, because oftentimes if a chef has a line with the company, they will just come guest it themselves.
Exactly.
So he said, we actually have a need for more fashion. And I'm like, oh, I can do fashion. No problem.
Totally.
And he asked me a couple questions like Pantone color of the year, whatever.
Yeah.
And I just kind of rattled it off. And so I think he was like, okay, we're good here.
Oh, totally. Oh, totally. I mean, totally. Because I have to tell you from the host perspective, watching these girls come in, I mean, we started as guests together, but most people, this is Mother Hen. Becky's the Mother Hen of the fashion world for the past 10 years. Yes. She's like the house mom. Mm-hmm. So it's natural. And I've seen it over and over again. Wonderful, great women come in and they just try to do their best impression of Becky. And I'm like, I don't need more Beckys. We already have one.
Right.
And that's natural.
And by the way, you're not going to achieve that.
Well, exactly.
She's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. So good luck trying.
Yeah. And I see why people would want to do that. She also paid us before we started to say all this. I see why people would say, okay, she has this successful run. She's been here forever. She gets hired on every gig. I'm going to mimic her. So what was so impressive is you came in and you did not do an impression of Becky. And it was one of the first where I'd seen.
So refreshing.
I was blown away, girl. Yeah. Blown away. And then that strong fashion perspective, the strong point of view. You really kicked butt there, honey.
Do you know what my favorite thing was watching you guys work together is Erin loves to talk about styling. And so you can start to see when there's stuff that we have to get through, like work you have to do, the value pays and all of the stuff. But then she goes into how would you style it? And the two of these girls would riff together. Or you could, what if we?
Yes.
And it was the best because they were really lost in the moment and putting together these outfits in their minds and inspiring all of you. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I got to go back and, rewind and write that down so I can have those tips.
And that's where it's live. Like, no one's telling us to say that.
Yeah.
No one's like there's no script. The producer might sometimes be like, don't forget about this. But on fashion, love our producers, but not a one of them necessarily like knew what was going on in the fashion world, right? So yeah, that was just all very organic, very much like, yes.
So you know, behind the scenes, because we like to just say our goals out loud, we are working on a fashion element of this podcast. So will you come back and help style Becky in a few things and give your point of view?
I would love that.
Yeah, because that would be really fun. So do you have favorite memories? And we can also do least favorite memories of your time at the network.
Favorite memories, huh?
Like what's something, because here's the deal. As we've been very transparent with all of you, I'm done at the network. These two are uncertain, but still open to working. And so we just don't know. There's so much change. So you might see Sarah again for sure. Like she has, you might see her there, you might not. But from your time when you're really there all the time, like what's a favorite thing that sticks out?
Okay, I think I have I have so many, but one was Fatima and I were closing out Mark Bauer show. And so we had those beautiful fit and flare dresses on. And Fatima, and I actually go way back with Fatima because she and I went to high school together. So she was when I showed up to audition at the Mall of America, she was there. And I didn't think she'd remember me because I was like a couple of years younger than her. Yeah. She immediately was like, Sarah, and said my maiden name. And she's just the kindest, most gracious human on the planet.
She really is.
But so anyway, so fast forward. So she started salsa dancing within the last, I don't know, decade or so. Yes. It's like a wonderful hobby of hers. And I grew up classical ballet and gymnastics, and then I've done a lot of ballroom as well. Yeah. So we're closing out a show in our beautiful fit and flare dresses, and we start salsa dancing together. And she twirls me around. And again, that's back when it was a magical place, and there were like actual 5 camera people in the studio. So then the jib went up. And we are like salsaing into this jib. So that's where it's like, you have a fun job to do, but you're making the magic of live TV.
Yes.
And you really enjoy your coworkers, and you have this love and this respect for who they are as humans, as unbelievably talented, smart people. Because that's the thing. I mean, they put you on air in that place. You were like an unbelievably talented and smart human being, right? So
you got to be brave or delusional.
That was a fun one. And then once I had a caller I was on with Kimberly, and there was a person who called in, and they just paid me like such a compliment that sometimes when you're on air, and we would remind ourselves of this, you forget that you're actually talking to an at-home audience, right? So like, we're doing our thing, and we're thinking about this, and we're thinking about the dynamic of that, and so just made you upset, but you forget you're talking to a black box that is a live feed to hopefully thousands of people.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you were on air on Saturday mornings with us, I mean,
what were the numbers? Was it like 100?
Well, we were in 90 million homes, and we would get the Nielsen ratings, but I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of people live, but then they come in and out as well.
Right.
I expected all of you to watch all 3 hours straight through.
Bell to bell.
But surprise, it sounds like some people would come in and out as well. So yeah, thousands and thousands of people.
And you just can't, I don't know, sometimes I would forget.
Yeah, of course.
I would forget that that's, the true meaning behind what we're doing is to bring this product, to bring this joy, to bring this retail experience. And so somebody called in, and they paid a lovely compliment and just said that, they truly listened to my advice and really loved when I was on air. And that just, I don't know, it just obviously, like, anybody likes to be complimented, but it just kind of made me feel, and I'm standing there with Kimberly, again, just like this OG.
It's an icon, yes.
Amazingly talented person who also was a great mentor to me.
I will never stop trying to impress Kimberly Wells until the day I die. That will be my job in life.
What everybody needs to know is Kimberly Wells is wicked smart, but she's very generous.
Yeah.
So
in a competitive business like this, and I don't fault anybody because everybody has to do their own thing to feel good about their business. But there are a lot of people who just stay to themselves and kind of gatekeep their success. And I understand that, truly.
Totally.
Because it is a very tough business.
Someone's coming for you.
Especially when you're looking at the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, very competitive. Something that Kimberly was so generous with is she would literally walk up to you and share her success.
Yes.
And that didn't happen all the time.
I wanted you to be part of it.
Yes. And she would generously say, you could do this better by doing that.
Well, and here's the thing. Some people don't want to hear creative and constructive criticism.
Right.
They take it as a wound.
Right.
When you could get a little note from somebody that you valued and who really was crushing it, it's like gold.
And she's another moment I remember where she gave me some blocking advice, you know, like when the camera moves over here, like you should think about doing this. And then I did it one day. Mm-hmm. And she was off camera. Maybe it went to a graphic or something. And she gave me like the biggest thumbs up, you know? Yes. She was like, you listened. Yes. You looked better on air. The show looks better, you know? Yep. So
very, very helpful.
Always great to work with her.
But back to the comment, the caller that you got in. Mm-hmm. Isn't it wild? And how do you feel? Because when we get this job, we're like, okay, this is an amazing, fun job. We get to entertain. We get to inform. We get to present. We get to get dressed up. But I was never prepared, and I'm still never prepared for how meaningful it was for the viewer. For the viewer relationship to me meant more to me than I could have ever imagined.
Agreed. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, absolutely.
For women you probably never met and might never meet.
Might not ever. Right.
But that relationship is so special.
And I think that's the genesis of doing this is we wanted to retain, there's parts we can let go. That part we didn't want to let go.
Yeah. Like, you know, Becky has shared as One World went away, as the network changes, we were like, we've got to preserve this relationship.
Absolutely. And you should, you know.
And I also didn't realize because, so, you know, Becky loves fashion. Sarah and I came out of the womb like in a high heel.
I don't roll like they roll.
Okay, like
although I did have to put on a little something because Sarah was coming.
Sarah today.
I roll up here in a sweatshirt and I'm like, not today, Zerg.
Well, not today, Zerg. Not on Sarah's watch. But I was also, what I've learned along the way and what you did so well, Sarah, is, you know, a lot of people say, yeah, I love your outfit. I have no idea how to put it together. And so I was always really impressed too, or really like, it meant a lot where people call and say, no, thank you for helping me feel more confident.
Right.
I really didn't, because my mom likes to shop. I like to shop. We love getting dressed. I don't mind making a mistake. Last night, I think I made a mistake out to dinner. It just didn't photograph well. I thought it looked cute sitting, but it didn't photograph well. And so we like that. But a lot of people are like, no, you tell me. And I think that's something you did really well with everybody is told them and gave them permission on how to style.
Yeah. Well, and I think, you know, sometimes it is permission to just like add a little animal print, or sometimes it's like I need to add permission to myself sometimes for jewelry. Like I don't necessarily always style jewelry very well.
Yes.
And I really overthink like this trend right now, right? With like all the bracelets and all the necklaces and stuff. I sit there and I fret. Does it look good? Am I doing it right? It's like, if you think it looks good, it looks good.
You're right.
Like just put it. The other reason I realize I don't do jewelry very well is because I'm always 15 minutes late.
You can't do another step.
That's the last piece. And when that lobster claw's not clawing, you're just like, oh God, I gotta go.
Wait a minute. That is the most true thing you've ever said. Because if I really think about it, that's why I don't wear an earring half the time.
Nope.
That's why I just leave my necklaces on. I have no idea what's there.
Same. I've got two on underneath.
Yes. They're just whatever happens to be on my neck is what I have on. Okay. What was the most difficult part of being a guest on the network?
TTVs.
Oh, tell everybody what that is. Tell everybody.
Guys. Okay. So grateful to have been on Kate. Kate got a lot of hours. Kate and Mallory got a lot of hours, a lot of just sort of like behind the scenes resources behind that brand. It was an owned brand. It was a proprietary brand. So it was developed in-house. It was marketed in-house. And probably, dare I say, and this is like, I'm not sharing inside baseball. I'm just guessing from a business perspective, probably higher margins because of all of that.
I can 1000% confirm that for you. The Kate and Mallory business, when it started in 2011, 2012, up until I would say through Sarah, and this is not a fault to who represents it now by any means.
No,
but it was literally
like the behind the scenes.
It literally grew.
Some creative juices behind the scenes.
It grew like a rocket ship.
Well, let's just say those
wildly
names.
Successful.
David Miller.
Oh my
Kesha,
gosh. Rebecca Hoffman.
Becky Hoffman. Wow.
There was even Amanda. She was an assistant to Kesha.
She's so good.
Was so good.
Yep.
Yes. And we had planners on it like Phil Price. And I mean, there was this team behind it that really knocked it out of the park, and they were super collaborative. So yes, it was a business we had fun with it, but it was a business was so good for the company.
Yeah.
So because it was so good, it was on often.
a lot of shows.
And so the most difficult part, Sarah says, is a TTV. That was the Today's Top Value, or if you still watch now, Today's Top Deal. So what made it the most difficult?
Back when we were live from, it went to tape from 1 a.m. to 7 a.m. during my tenure.
Yes.
Which again with Kate started in 2018. So you would have the Today's Top Value, which means you kicked it off at midnight Eastern, so 11 p.m. Central.
Yes.
Sometimes you still did the midnight show. So you were on air till 1 a.m. and you needed to be back on air for the 7 a.m. show.
Yes.
So that means you are off air at 1. That doesn't mean you're in your bed sleeping. So you're off air. You know, you have to put your things away. I always try to be a good citizen around there. Right? Like you put your clothes away. And I know plenty of people spent the night there. I preferred to just go home, get the 3 hours of sleep. And by 3, I'm really not joking.
No, not at all.
By the time I would get home and settle, it'd probably be 2 a.m. Your alarm would go off at like 5:15. I have hair that needs to be shampooed pretty much every day.
Yes.
And so.
Yeah, if you dare take a shower on that turn, oh, girl.
So sometimes it was a dry shampoo, sometimes it wasn't. But so you're back at the studio at 6 a.m. for your 7 a.m. show.
And then you're on.
And then you're on
the whole day.
For somewhere between 12. If your TTV was doing well, they would literally pull you into 15-minute cells almost every single hour of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
and yours always did well.
I think one day I was in 15 shows.
Oh my gosh. Well, build that back, baby.
Heck yeah. Those are the
Money.
Did you ever get like physically ill? Because I remember when I was a guest.
You were like nauseous at the end of that
I would get physically ill. It doesn't matter how you prepped. It doesn't matter how much water you drank.
And then because, again, and I know you did this too, because Kate and Becky, I know you did these with One World and Oso, when you would have them, by the time your body physically recovered from that, you'd be like 3 days out from doing it.
Yes. No, totally.
Yes.
Because you're on your feet, you're sucking in your tummy, your shoulders are back.
Your smile literally hurts.
Yes.
Your face hurts.
And what the guests have to do so well, and this is like the best training in improv, is they don't get to decide how that show's going to go. They got to be ready to roll with whatever crazy host is out there, myself included. So if I come out guns blazing,
energy,
I've had a full night's rest, I've got a 2-hour show, and I'm ready to play and have fun, they got to follow my lead.
But
so they got to play and have fun.
Because I'm such an extrovert that actually helped me.
Yeah.
Like on a TTV, if I had a Kimberly Wells at 7 a.m, I'd be like, amen and hallelujah. Because that is the only way I'm going to get through this.
Yes. You remember the one in No Names who would come in and we would have been already up for a full day. And there's one host that would come in and go, oh, I'm so tired. And I would be like, bitch, are you kidding me? You're tired.
And you just had 2 days off.
These girls have been in the same undies and eyelashes for 36 hours. Well, and then, but other hosts too are very, because everybody, you know, I really applaud the differentiation, but then other hosts are very mechanical and thoughtful, and they want you guys to be ripping the details.
Yep.
Tell me the colors. Yep. Tell me the center back. Tell me the measurements. Tell me. And so then not only sometimes you have to be hyper ready to go physically, but mentally, I know the guests are not performing brain surgery that I know of, but it's almost what I would like surgery. Once you go in, you don't get to come out and you don't get to deflect. So you have to be mentally prepared as well.
Time. Well, and what I loved was when I got to the point where I could just tell you what the fabric was by touching it.
Yes.
I mean, it was either rayon and spandex or poly and spandex. Like, let's be real. But, or like the center back length was between 29 and 31. But when you got to the point where a touch and a look and a feel, you could pretty much get it. Like that was, that always felt like a good time.
Well, and here's the thing too, you have little kids at home.
I do.
So while all that was happening.
Henry was 4.
Yeah. So how old were your 3 kids when you started?
So Henry was 4, which means Eloise was 5 and Jack was 7.
In the thick of all that.
You guys.
And my husband travels for
So work. At that time, he was traveling Monday through Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we got ourselves to the point where once Kate and Mallory was being established, and once I knew, like, okay, this is mine, if you will, right?
Yes.
Like, because even though you sign a contract, we were contractors. So no hour is truly ever guaranteed.
Yes.
Right?
0 hours guaranteed.
Once I had kind of established myself with Kate and Mallory, I decided to work with what's called an au pair program. So I literally moved a woman from France into my basement, and that didn't work out so well.
My first question was, is she hot?
Yeah, totally.
Get her out of there.
We don't want hotties in the basement. No hotties in the basement.
I want a Hausfrau. I want
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Frau would have been a good idea. I needed a German. I needed somebody who was just going to be like, in my flow. No,
but you couldn't have worked all those hours if you didn't have full-time help.
No, not at all.
You couldn't have.
And like, my mom was alive at the time, but she worked, 50, 60 hours a week, and my in-laws live in Madison. So like, hats off to the people who get parental help as babysitters.
Sorry, don't want to rip it.
So lovely. So lovely.
I don't think we would have survived.
I never have, and I never will have it. Like, I just don't.
Yeah.
So it just is what it is, which is not a big deal. Like, it's fine. I figured it out at this point.
Was there ever any time where you're like, I hate this, I'm going to quit? Like, did you ever have it? Really?
So many.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Not from Becky and I, right?
No.
Okay, thank God.
No.
Just about us first. Now carry on.
Enough about you. Let's get back to us.
So when this all started, and again, like, the network was healthy. It was like the golden age of
pretty
what
fantastic.
we were doing. Still a lot of celebrity, like I met Paula Dean. She's
oh my God, a dream for you, right?
God. Yeah. I literally stalked her. Like, I just followed her around until
Is that the only one you did?
The only one I stalked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I met her, she shoved a chocolate Whopper into my mouth. I was like, hi, Paula, nice to meet you. And she's like, try this. She shoved it into my mouth. And I'm like, I like how aggressive you are.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a thriving business.
She gave me a hi, honey. And I was like, that's all I wanted. All I needed.
Nestle.
My life is complete.
I thought you were going to say it was complete when you and I got ferried over to a private island.
That's right.
And we opened Wake Up in Style together with Sam Sabora on a private.
Do you remember how seasick I was?
It was terrible.
I had to put my head in between my legs and put myself into the fetal position.
On the little dinghy?
Yeah, on the dinghy.
We had to ride a ferry from the cruise ship to a private island. And I was so proud of our crew. They worked so hard to make it go live. And that was the first and only time I cried at an open because I looked behind me. And it was the Caribbean in a cruise ship. And I looked next to me and it was Sarah. And was Sam Sabora with us or did he meet us back on the ship?
He did. Did he come over to the island?
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
No, he was on the island and we opened up and it was stunning and beautiful.
Were you
and
overwhelmed?
I cannot believe that this is my job right now.
Yeah.
So
we did it.
There was
and then
many.
The feed went off.
Yeah, the feed went off.
The feed went out.
That's right.
And then we had a
standing
ferry
there
back.
patiently waiting, and then all of a sudden, somebody yelled, "All talent and crew, get back on the dinghy!"
Yes.
And I looked at you, and I'm like, "That's us, isn't it?"
It
and you were
is.
like, "We gotta go."
I'm like, I'm sorry, get
we gotta
back into the
on.
waves.
Then did you do the show from the ship?
We did the show from the ship.
We
Yeah.
did. So I think they just looped those 15 minutes until we got back on the ship.
But we were riding 10-foot waves.
But did you have your sea legs? And you still weren't feeling well?
No, once I got on the ship because the ship wasn't moving,
Okay.
I was good, but
It was really choppy waters.
It was.
Oh my God.
So I totally interrupted you because
No,
we were going to
what was
talk
I
about,
talking about?
well, did you ever have a time when you wanted to quit?
So many times.
Because you were like, it was healthy and exciting and fabulous.
So many times.
Hence
But
broadcasting
it was
from
overwhelming and it was exhausting. And my first au pair didn't work out. Neither did my third. We can bring that might be a me problem. We can discuss how the third one left my house on a different episode.
Oh my God.
But the second one, she saved my life. Again, we'll discuss that later. But no, it was a lot. It was just a lot. But I do remember at one point saying to my mom, this is my dream job. I'm going to figure it out.
Oh,
right?
I love that.
So you're just like,
Yes.
I'm going to figure this out.
You guys, don't forget, Isomers is now partnering with So Happy You're Here podcast to give you an exclusive 20% off your order. You go to isomers.ca. You'll get 20% off your order. If you're at $100 or more, they'll ship it to you for free directly to your house. It's an exclusive savings just for all of you listening. If you haven't been introduced to Isomers before, they are the best cosmetic chemists in the world. Scientifically proven results for over 30 years. If you don't know where to start, there's an easy quiz to take at isomers.ca. Or if you just want to go for their icons, their hyaluronic acid, their fast lift eye serum, their copper P, it's all available and it's exclusively for you with Happy20 to get that 20% off your order. Well, and a lot of people think, oh, well, I like fashion and I like to visit. And I think what people don't understand is you also have to keep crazy hours.
Yes.
You have to have a really thick skin. really thick skin to actually thrive because so many people are constantly telling you what you're doing wrong, whether it's welcomed or not, you know, and we should be getting better, you know, and you've got comments coming at you from all angles. It's competitive. Yes. And so as much as we form these great relationships,
trauma bonds,
it is a full trauma bond. The person next to you is always up for your job.
Totally.
They are always up for the show that you wanted. They're always up for the concept that you were looking for the time slot that you wanted. Yep. So it's a really bizarre
I think what
relationship.
Helped me was I came in as a guest wanting to be a host. And I think, and not that I was gunning for anybody's job. I was
You
not,
never came for our jobs. No.
Or in fact, I don't think I played the game right in the long run.
Okay.
Which we don't have to get into. But like, I didn't go after anybody's stuff. I didn't try to make extra friends with certain people to be risen to this, that, or the other thing. I was like, I love Kate and Mallory. I'm getting plenty of hours. This suits me. Never thought I'd be doing this job. So I just sort of, once I like stepped back into a moment of gratitude and a moment of like, this is enough for right now.
Yes.
This is all I've ever wanted for right now in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was great. And then COVID hit. So
my God.
Everything blew up again.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So I think that helped me to just like take a step back and be like, you never thought you'd be here to begin with.
Exactly.
So let's just, you know.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and tell me if you agreed with this, and this is no shade. There is that difference between guest and host in terms of role.
Yeah.
I never wanted the pressure of being responsible for the sell, being responsible for the numbers that they made. So I don't know if you agree with this, but I was like, guest life is pretty sweet.
Well, you, again, the great advice. You did give me that good advice, which helped me sort of like just take a step back and look at it from 10,000 feet because what you've got going on is great as a guest. The two reasons why at the time I would have loved going into hosting is number one, just a set schedule, even though I know that changed all the time. It wasn't really promised, but having such little kids and needing to sort of not have things change to the last minute like they were open to when you were in that guest role would have been helpful. That's why the au pair worked out for our family. Well, one of the three.
Hats off to the second au pair. We love you, second au pair.
It was Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
And we are still in touch with her. But also, I just think it would have been really fun to like continue to learn new things. Like as much as I love fashion and I loved Kate and I loved the product I was putting out and representing, it would have been kind of fun to just challenge yourself. Like when I learned fragrances in these last couple of months, it's just fun to learn something new.
That is one of the reasons.
Out and get scientific about
the variety
in a weird way. Yeah.
Yes, when they came to me about moving into the host role, it is one of the reasons I did because I loved fashion too, but it's so repetitive. Like hats off to those of you who can do it for so many years. Because I'm like I love beauty.
Yes.
So I wanted to learn about that, but then it's nice to have the break in like jewelry or watches.
Totally.
So that is definitely.
It's totally kind of fun. But I never did. You know, I never was asked to go into a host role, which again is probably just a really blessing in disguise because everything has landed where it's needed to along the way.
Okay, can we talk about like
so
modern
tell us
day
where you've landed, baby girl?
So I will be a stylist for Saks Fifth Avenue starting in like 2 weeks. Very, very, very excited.
So amazing.
Yes, the Saks Fifth Avenue out of New York. And not just so if you live here in the Twin Cities, you're probably going, wait, we don't have a Saks here. No, we do not. We do have an off Fifth. So what Saks Fifth Avenue has been doing is opening what they're calling Fifth Avenue clubs in places where they don't have brick and mortar, but to continue to offer the Saks, you know, concierge and product and experience to their ladies and men in markets where they don't have an actual brick and mortar.
You're going to be so good at this. So amazing. So what will your like day-to-day look like there?
Yeah, so this the club will be open from 10 to 6 or by appointment only, Monday through Saturday. So you book an appointment and then we can kind of engineer it one of two ways. Like maybe you're shopping for something very specific. So you may call me and say, you know, I used this example the other day, but Becky's like, Father Phil and I are going on the cruise of our life and we're going to the Mediterranean. And so I pick a bunch of looks for you. You come in, you try them on, and you literally walk out like the 90s with, you know, like with
I love 90s shopping.
Hand. Yeah, like bags in hand.
So you are stocked in I call it Sarah's Atelier.
Yes.
So it's not just online.
Not just online. We have a suite at a luxury hotel here in the Twin Cities. So you come meet us in the suite. We have it presented or we have it all there for you. you try on. Maybe we go on and, get a few things that we think would complement it now that we're trying things on. Or we can style through .com as well. So if you don't live in the Twin Cities and you say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, or I need to shop for, I have a senior, I'm going to 50 graduation parties. I want 10 awesome day dress looks.
Yes.
I can go onto .com and I can put that together for you, send it to you, and then you just check out.
And can it be a Zoom call?
Sure.
Perfect.
Yeah. Could do Zoom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Could do lots of things.
Will there be champagne if we come in?
Of course.
Can we do a live there one day with you?
Yes, I would love nothing more.
Gosh. I want to
do a live. You guys, I have my kids go to independent schools, so they're always fundraising.
Yeah.
So I gave like a prom shopping party.
Yes.
So cute
So
for the
I'm
girls.
gonna have like darling girls coming in to
in their
shop
dressy
for their prom dresses. Mother of the bride or groom, or aunt of the bride or groom, or grandma of the bride or groom, or whomever, like,
or wedding guest who just wants to look hot on that dance floor all
hot.
day.
Absolutely.
My God, you are gonna crush this.
So excited about this.
How did you get this job? Did you just find it online?
So once again, when you think about how you need to get into places that are hard to get into, similar to the home shopping.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh.
I applied online.
Yes.
And, AI kicked my application out, right? Because I don't have actual retail experience.
Right. But
of course I was resourceful, and I went and found a recruiter out of New York, and I said, here's my sales background. So I went in, again, about differentiating yourself.
Yes.
I went in there saying, okay, no, I've never worked on the floor of Marshall Fields or Nordstrom, but I have account executive experience, and that's how I will treat this job.
Yes.
Like, we need to get people into the suite.
Yes.
And the manager offered me the position that day. So I'm sorry. So let me close the loop. So I found the person in New York, and he said, great, let's Zoom. So he and I Zoomed, and then he passed me along to the suite manager here in Minneapolis. He and I got together, and, but
do you have colleagues? Is there other people working with you? Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm one of 3 salespeople.
Okay.
And then the manager.
So wait, did you know about the role and you were trying to work into Saks?
I found it on, well, I was looking up a lot of different retail. So one thing that being at the network taught me is I love to work in fashion.
Yes.
Right? That's
You're
just kind
so
of
good at it.
As much as I even applied to some different sales, because I do have just a true cold call sales background.
Yes.
I used to sell advertising. I used to, pound the pavement. Like, that's kind of how I grew up in my job.
She's a go-getter.
Totally. I'll always be selling. That's what John Carroll told me.
That's
My
right.
first boss.
And closing.
We've
learned nothing.
Always be selling. Yeah. John would have wanted you to close. There's no doubt about that. So I was just on, the traditional things. I either go to the websites, like at Southdale here in Edina, they're opening a lot of beautiful new stores. So I would find the regional managers for those stores.
Clever
and I
girl.
sent them my resume just saying, when you're ready to hire here in Minneapolis, I'd love for you to consider me. Like, this is my background. I can say I have luxury sales experience.
Of course,
yes. I've done a lot of luxury brands on the network.
Well, and you
must
sold,
be us
you
as a
sold
shopper.
yourself on a lot. Yeah. Girl.
Like it.
You're not only,
as well.
you're not just the president, you're also a client.
Yeah.
Rogaine for
I'm
men
the
or whatever
Lord
that
and the
was.
Surf, right?
Yeah. She goes full circle in the luxury department. You are going to crush that.
But my whole point is my sorority actually just asked me to write an article about working in television and in fashion. And I think both with my experience at the network and even with this gig with Saks is just get yourself in front of the decision makers and don't be afraid to keep following up and don't be afraid to differentiate yourself and saying, this is what I can bring to the table. Right.
Yeah. But also recognizing where you thrive. I think it's so easy to go the safe route or what everybody else thinks. But for you to even say, well, I really recognize that fashion is my calling.
I want to stay in fashion. And I do love helping people style.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've done it for friends. I went, my girlfriend lives in San Diego and she was being promoted to partner of a firm.
Yes.
And so she was, flying to the big rah-rah with all the new partners. God love her. She's my friend Annie. I love you so much.
Way to go,
the
Annie.
Hardest worker.
Got a great friend
best
here.
Mom. I love her dearly. So she was she still calls me by my maiden name. So she's like, I need help, So I went to her Nordstrom.
Yes.
Figured out what was in stock at her Nordstrom.
So smart.
Pulled those things into a PowerPoint presentation. Nothing about this was technically inclined. It was scrap.
Well, PowerPoint's pretty tricky for a lady like me.
Mm-hmm. So I put this big PowerPoint presentation together for her. I sent it to her. She literally carried it to her Nordstrom and was like, help me find this. And the saleswoman was like, who gave you this?
Yeah.
You know? So now I will be provided with other tools that will make those types of presentations happen.
This is so good.
I just want you to style me on a Monday.
Oh, stop it. You're not somebody who needs the help.
You know what's a good thing though? So I don't mean to
you go.
No.
You go.
I told you I wanted a brown suede handbag.
Yes.
No sooner do I open my messages and she's giving me 4 different price points,
Yep,
4
and I gave
different
you the price
design.
points,
yes.
right? And
So this is the thing. It doesn't have to be a full wardrobe. It can be like,
Totally.
where is that really
Yes.
good boot that I need?
And that's the other thing. Like, I will know Saks' inventory. So
Yes.
if you say I want the brown suede bag and now it's 40% off, I can be like, it's time to cash it. You know what
Yes.
I mean?
Will
Yeah,
you
that kind of
also
stuff.
get like a heads up on what's coming in?
I don't know. And
Yeah.
if I do, that would
Let
be
us
really
know.
fun. Absolutely.
Yeah, because
Yes.
sometimes there's special things coming out that nobody else would know about.
little
Other
gems.
thing, okay, so talking about the luxury market, right? And, you know, I cannot afford $5,000 handbags, but if you're out there, God bless you, call me.
Yes.
But if you are just ready to make that investment, right? Like you want that it bag or you want that it diamond, you know, like the Quattro rings. I'm
Yes.
so obsessed with
Yes.
Boucheron Quattro rings right now. I really want one for myself. Instead of flying to New York or shipping 5 to you and now that money's sitting on your credit card and you need to ship it back, we'll do that for you.
Do you know who
Nice.
that occurs to me? The gentleman.
Yes.
You've got the big anniversary
Yes.
coming up. You've got her
Yes.
birthday. You want Sarah to have the wish list, to understand her style and say, okay, I got a 50th coming up here, lady.
Yes.
Let's get
I'm
to shopping.
sending John directly to
Yes.
you
Yes.
because I don't just have a 50th coming up. I've got an argument from last week that needs to be solved.
Erin's cashing in all her chips.
I've got a disappointment on how he hung that frame. So,
Now, honey, scorekeeping is the demise to all relationships.
Oh, by the way, Sarah also has a ton of life advice. We're going to do life coaching by Sarah too.
No, you don't want my
we have so much. We have so much
How
to
to not
discuss.
get along with your au pairs.
Don't go to her for advice on au pairs, but everything else we totally trust her with. So when you're up and running, we'll share all that information as well.
I would love it. I would love nothing more.
Do you have contact information right now?
Yeah, so just follow me on Skillrud on Instagram. I also need to learn Instagram.
I'll help you with that.
And then, please. And then I need all the help I can get. I will be launching more of like a true styling page.
Yes.
So if you follow me on Instagram, when I'm ready to launch that, you know, you'll get the information.
So
Really
it's
great.
S and then Skillrud is SKILLRUD.
You got it, girl.
Followed her for a very long time.
Not Rudd. How many hosts mispronounce that damn name?
Well, but we lived in the South for a year. It was Skillrud.
Ooh.
Right.
And then I leaned into just like my husband. My husband.
No, I totally think you fit right here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But girl, do you think you came from a Southern background at some point?
I don't, because I don't do the big dresses and I don't do big hair.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. You're right.
and,
You're a
you
little bit
know,
more
I think
streamlined.
I'm
Well, we
more
talked
like-
about the royalty. It might be the Brit in you.
That might be it.
Are you more New York City? Because I love the East Coast vibe.
Or San Francisco. Like, I just feel
Okay,
like I have
sure.
a little bit of like edgier urban vibes.
Yes.
Versus like,
No, you're
and
right.
Eloise actually went through a phase when we lived in Charlotte when she was wearing her brother's clothes, which was just like so darling on her.
yeah.
And my mom, I called my mom one day. I'm like, oh, I'm just dropping Eloise off and, you know, oh, she's wearing Jack's Ninja Turtles or whatever. And she's always looked up to her big brother. So who
Yes.
cares? And I hear all these other girls are in like their bows out here. And like they're going to preschool in their big dresses. And
Like
here's,
they're getting ready for their
dear
debutante.
darling Eloise. And she's in her brother's
Basketball
like,
shorts.
old basketball
Yes.
shorts. And I was like, bye, honey.
But
Have
that's
a great
her.
day.
But that's her hero. Honey.
Exactly. It
That's
was
her hero of the
She
times.
graduated in like 2 months, but
Sarah,
yeah.
thank you for stopping by. We love having you here.
Guys, thanks for having me.
We do like talking fashion, and we did. On our way out the door, do you have one piece of evergreen fashion advice that will never go out of style?
Ooh, no pressure.
You must change your denim every 3 to 6 months.
Hey.
You want to stay current.
Good.
I feel like she's
Denim.
looking
Like,
exactly at me.
No, stop it. I like jackets, the lengths come and go. And is it double breasted or single breasted? That you can fudge. But you showing up in a pair of outdated denim,
Yeah.
sister friend,
Yeah.
that's not okay.
And you told me you went to a lunch last season and the long denim skirt was in. Didn't every single girl
Every single girl had it
showed
on.
up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
With
that's
different tops. So that's the point, right? Like
Yes.
your tops can stay, Your denim needs to be refreshed every 3 to 6 months.
That's why I said I want to come to you for styling, because here's my dilemma right now. Since I just left the network, most of the past decade of my life has been dedicated to shopping for working on television and then hanging out with my kids.
Do you have a million frocks? Is that really what you have?
You don't have the million, or I mean the in-between.
No, I have dressed up, getting ready for a beauty show, sequins dress, newscaster apparel, or I would wear Kate and Mallory. And then in the rest of my life, because 3 of those 7 years were also pandemics.
Totally.
So the rest of my clothes are just denim and a sweatshirt following my kids around to their athletic events. So I really do need, I genuinely mean this. I need a refresh on everyday apparel.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I struggled with everyday probably through my entire 20s because I wore a uniform my entire life.
That's right.
That's why I don't wear a lot of navy.
You OD'd. You OD'd on navy. Okay.
My daughter goes to the school I went to. The uniform hasn't changed.
Are you serious?
Like, we used to light those skirts on fire and they were flame retardant. Like, that flame retardant, hideous, horrible military navy is still what they're wearing.
But girl, that's tradition.
But love them.
That is tradition.
Do you know what I love about a uniform though? We can do uniforms in our life now too.
Yes, you should.
You don't have to overthink it.
You don't have to overthink it.
Yeah.
No, and you should have and there's a really good influencer on Instagram who talks about like having your mom uniform. And I think it's smart. It's so smart. And for me, it's usually like a turtle. I mean, you've seen a turtleneck now twice. Like, turtleneck.
Lovey, will you stand up though? Because we're just talking about the new cut. So she's got a wider leg on, higher waist. Love the oxblood kind of color.
Yes, I'm still doing like the oxblood because this is not going anywhere.
No.
Max Mara 2025, 26 still showed a lot of the oxblood. So this is a higher rise, a nice dark rinse, just an easy.
What brand are those jeans?
J. Crew, you guys.
Hey.
I love J.
Hey,
Crew
and you know what,
jeans.
America? Will you turn around?
Yeah.
Here's why we brought her. Everybody remembers.
Boom,
Who could forget?
I'm sorry. New studio, same HR issues.
You asked about one of my favorite things about the network. That backside did end up on YouTube once.
Oh, girl, you got fans.
I was like,
You've got fans.
oh my gosh, am I happy about this or am I terrified? Right?
I'm at a place in my life where any compliment I'll take.
I mean, it's true.
It doesn't even matter. Even if it's my backside, which it never made on anywhere else, no matter how hard I tried. We adore you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being such a bright spot of our careers and then becoming, you can't escape us, lifelong friends from here on out.
Love you.
We love you. And we love all of you. We're so happy that you're here. We're so happy that you are here. We'll be back next week with more. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, a quick reminder, you guys, our first supporter of our podcast, it's Daily Fascia. Daily Fascia offers the most practical, easy to follow techniques to help you unlock your body's hidden potential. It's for freedom, it's for flow, it's for relief. If you're struggling with recurring injuries, stiffness, or you just want to move more freely, Daily Fascia has got you covered. You're going to use the code HAPPY50 to get 50% off your first course at dailyfascia.com. We have all the information for her different coursework, her YouTube channel, all listed and tagged below. You guys, do us a huge favor, please. Will you like this podcast, share it, or subscribe? Because that helps, right, Bex?
It will help us a ton.
It will. And I don't know if we've helped you, but if you don't mind helping us, that'd be great.
Fair's fair.
Love you.